Well, I know some folks are going to still keep coming in the room. I wanted to just offer a few words of welcome. For those of you who haven't been to Innovation Hall before, welcome. Hopefully, this is a good introduction for you to see a space that is the representation of some intentional conversations over the last 5 years to think about how we continue to build out Central Oklahoma's innovation ecosystem. A conversation happened when the MAPS 4 program was coming to bear to think about how we continue to build the spaces and places in Oklahoma City that enable the right kind of conversations to happen on many fronts. And so the space that we're sitting here today, by the way, I'm Jeff Seymour, I'm the CEO of the Oklahoma City Innovation District. I'm so glad to meet so many of you. The intentionality behind this particular space was the city of Oklahoma recognized that if we didn't have a location that could serve as Central Oklahoma's living room for conversations like the one happening today, we were going to miss out on the opportunity for collaboration. So the space that we've built here is really intended to use technology enablement to craft conversations where you can have up to 275 people in a conversation like this afternoon to think about how do we all support the growth of the film and creative industries cluster here in Oklahoma, or a chance to sit down for a cup of coffee next door in our cafe with our operator, Frederick, who's an awesome guy, by the way, if you haven't had a chance to meet him, or to use just a small conference room in a breakout session and have a chance to pitch to an investor, or look at your clients, talk to potential client partners, or just really sit down and have those sort of intimate conversations. And so we see ourselves as a place and a space that really serves as a living room environment for the right type of conversations to happen in Central Oklahoma and Oklahoma, particularly when we're looking around the corner of things we all need to be doing to address both needs and opportunities. And so I would say just in general, I'm friends with, I think, almost everybody on this panel or know everybody on this panel, and so thrilled that you would come and spend your afternoon today in our space to have such an important conversation. And so for everybody that's here, we're excited to be a partner, and we would hope this is just one of many, many conversations we would have. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Hi. My name is Jeanette Stanton. I'm the director of the Film and Music Office for the state. Thank you so much for coming today. This is actually the first time that we have gathered like this right in the beginning of legislative session. So we're very excited to have everyone that was able to come. I know there's also a lot of crew working, so please make sure you share the information with them as well. But we wanted to take an opportunity to really just go over some fantastic numbers, impact numbers that we're going to share today, and see how far that you guys have come as an industry. It is quite remarkable. I have been with the office for a little over 10 years, and there's been leaders before me. Tava's in the room, Jill's in the room, that have been at the state office, that have fought, I hate to say fought because we're not fighting, but have negotiated along the way with more, gusto and more strength than anyone else could. They have been really fantastic to get us to where we are now. And you guys are the strength. You guys are what we need. We need to continue to push this industry forward because it means so much to the economic impact of cities in the state. So I'm gonna introduce a couple of people, and then we'll get started with the panel and talk about some fantastic numbers. But I did want to introduce Lieutenant Governor to the podium. Everyone knows who this man is. He has been very vocal about his support of this industry, so we're very excited to have him here today.
Well, this is very exciting, and I wish every state representative and every state senator could be here right now. I know Representative Brian Hill is right down here, and I know I can echo, he would echo what I'm about to say. If you don't think the rebate program is working, you haven't seen rooms like this. I know we can't be all things to all people. I know we can't offer an incentive or a rebate, but this works. Bottom line, this is working, and it is a great deal for taxpayers in the state of Oklahoma. And that is a message that is very important that we deliver to the state legislature at 23rd and Lincoln this legislative session. And it's economic impact studies like the one that one of the main reasons that we are meeting today is those that helped come together to pay for this economic impact study to once again remind the legislature why we are doing this, why we are invested in a film and television industry so that the future storytellers in this country can continue to tell the stories, but those can be told right here in Oklahoma. So I look forward to sharing some of those remarks with you. Thank you for what you do each and every day. Again, the momentum that Jeanette talked about, it's real. And the rebate program that we have put in place at the state legislature and the additional dollars that we have put in place over the last decade, it's working. It's working. Let's prove it to every state representative, Democrat, Republican, or independent alike. Let's go tell that story at 23rd and Lincoln. If we do that, we'll continue to show momentum and can continue to grow the film and television industry in the state of Oklahoma. So thank you. Look forward to being with you here today. Thanks.
Next, I'd like to bring up Representative Brian Hill. And some of you may not know this, but Representative Hill was instrumental in moving our office, which was at the Department of Tourism, over to the Department of Commerce. He was very passionate about that, and that is because this is an economic impact, and commerce is where we belong. That's what the Department of Commerce does, is we help with jobs, we help with economic impact. And he saw that, and he was instrumental in passing legislation a few years ago, and so we'd like to, and he's a fan of the film industry too, and so we'd like to bring him up to the podium as well.
Good afternoon. It is kind of exciting to me to see so many faces I know from so many great creatives around our state. When I came in 2018, the film industry was this idea of a tourism mechanism. In fact, it was actually located at that time in the Department of Tourism. It was this idea of, hey, Hollywood, come spend a couple of bucks in our state and then load up and leave. I'm proud to tell you, since we did the work of moving, to the director's point, the Office of Film and Music from the Department of Tourism to the Department of Commerce, we set a signal. We sent a tone. We made it very clear that Oklahoma was open for business. Not just pass through, not just come hang out with us, but build your industry and your future here. We have become the place of future opportunities for young Oklahomans that before had to go out to California in order to find their opportunity. Not just sacrificing to other states like Georgia or New Mexico and allowing them to set the trend and lead the way. Not just allowing Texas to hold all of the volume, but instead deciding to make our mark and move forward as an innovative state. And I'm proud to be part of this today. I'm proud of the building that we're standing in, which is a monument to Oklahoma's innovation. I'm proud of each of you in this room that chose to either not leave the state or come back to this great state to build the future, to be the innovators. Though you've had success in other areas, but to choose Oklahoma as the birthing ground of what will be in the future, and you are at the forefront of that innovation. So please feel the commitment of the Capitol up there, that we're excited about this. We see a moment, we see an opportunity. And, one of the key things I talked about when I first ran was, how do we make sure your kids and my kids don't move to Texas to find a job? That had been our story, folks. We'd have them here, we'd raise them here, and then they'd have to leave our great state to go find their opportunity, especially if they were in the creatives. I'm proud to tell you that today, because of the hard work that you have done, that in 2023 and 2024, we had more people move to the great state of Oklahoma from Texas than vice versa. First time in history. That's a win. Give yourselves a clap. That's a big deal. I'm more excited about our future today than I've ever been, because I can see it on the horizon. And it is because of you and the work you're doing daily, fighting to make sure Oklahoma's kids have a vision and a future. So God bless you, thank you, and let's make the great state of Oklahoma the greatest ever.
Thank you so much, Representative Hill. So now I'd like to introduce our panel. We are so very lucky to have the following people on our panel because they do so much in our state. So Jen Loren. As many of you know, she's with Cherokee Nation, Cherokee Film Institute, and Cherokee Film, thank you. And they have been really, truly instrumental in what they're doing over in the northeast part of the state. 2 sound stages now, virtual screen, offering education and production. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So we are very excited that they are partners with us in this. I remember the first time that Jen approached our office about wanting to do their own incentive and trying to learn the ins and outs of it. It is really remarkable how much of an investment that they have made in the film industry. If you're not following them on social media, or if you haven't reached out to them, I really recommend you do because they are really one of the most important partners that we have in the state. So thank you, Jen, for being here. Jill Simpson. As many of you know, Jill Simpson used to be at the state office for 10 years. So she has done her time. Jill was really instrumental in making sure that Compete with Canada in 2014 stayed with us. She was up at the Capitol daily. I caught her on the tail end of that, I think, when she hired me, for those of you that don't know. And so I only got to work with Jill for a couple of months, but I knew when I came on board, she said, come be a part of something that's really special. Come be a part of making a difference. And that's because I asked for more money and the state wouldn't give me more money, so, but I will always remember those words because we truly are making a difference in Oklahoma in this industry. Again, I remember when the rebate was 4, 5, 8, and now 30. I mean, just to think about that, y'all have been a part of that growth. It is very, very special and exciting. So thank you, Jill. And Jill is currently running the Oklahoma City Film Office. So, and Oklahoma City has their own incentive. So, to that. Yeah. Thank you. So for those of you that are looking for incentive, you can use Oklahoma City's, and I am so sorry, Cherokee Nation's incentive as well. But we're growing so fast, I can't even keep up. So thank you, Jill. Yes, they stack with the state. For those of you that don't know, Cherokee Nation's and Oklahoma City's both stack with the state. Is extremely unique right now to have other incentive programs that you can use with the state. I keep track of a lot of the other state incentives, and I can think of, California obviously has a few city incentives, San Antonio has an incentive, but other than that, it is mostly just state incentives. So it's really, really special to Oklahoma. Meg Gould is with the Tulsa Film and Music Office. Thank you, Meg, for joining us. Meg came to Oklahoma a couple years ago, I believe now, 2 years ago from Dallas. We are so excited to have her. She has done so much for the city of Tulsa on the film and music side. She's a wonderful partner. And I think very interested in their own incentive as well. So she's been working very hard at that behind the scenes, so stay tuned. So we're going to talk about a fantastic case study that will be released today. So we have in your seats, everybody has this piece of paper. These are the main talking points from the case study. The case study is, over 40 pages long, and for those of you that have never looked at an impact study or a case study, they're generally that long. And they are really, it's an economic impact study of the film industry and how far it's come. This year, an organization called a company called PFM evaluated all state incentives across the board. They do this every 4 years. We are on that list because we have a state incentive, and they release a report that talks about the value of that specific incentive program. Last May, we met with them, and they produced a report in October, November. It was distributed to, the public, legislators, and it really is sort of a bird's eye view of like, this is the program, this is how it works. Should we keep it or not? And so in 2016, we were evaluated by this same organization, and they actually recommended that we dissolve the film program. It was not a benefit to the state. Clearly, that did not happen, so it's, again, just a recommendation. In 2020, we were skipped because of COVID, and in 2024, we were evaluated again. So the 2016 report was actually about 4 pages long. In 2024, the report was about 30 pages long. So that alone was indication that we had the data, we had the business. They had to spend some time evaluating us. And their recommendation was to keep the program, which is huge, huge. And they also, I'm going to toot my team's horn. We have Yusuf Kazemi with our team. I know a lot of you know Yusuf. Amanda Roberts is with our team as well. She's up front. And these guys worked tirelessly for us, but they did give us some really high marks in this report on the data keeping that we've been able to do. I won't lie, for those of you in the room that have ever filled out the application, we are almost asking for blood, so that's okay. But we do collect a lot of data, and this is the reason why. And so in order to move forward, we wanted more, right? What can we do? We want to say more, right? We want to keep the program, but we want to keep it growing as well. So we were able to enter into some public-private partnerships for another study that basically took the IEC report and went further on it. Take what you have, and then let's look at the last 4 years a little bit more closely. And so we're looking at spend, we're looking at jobs, we're looking at businesses. And that's the purpose of this report. Again, very lengthy, 40 pages plus, but it was able to really shine on how far we have come. And it talks about the sales revenue coming back to the state, but also talks about dollar for dollar on the economic impact, what that means for the rebate and what comes back to the state. And that's really what lawmakers are looking for. They're looking for that ROI. They're looking for that sales tax generator. They need to know that it makes sense for the state. And we agree. It needs to make sense for the state. Are we growing or are we remaining stagnant? So we've taken the highlights for everyone in this room and put this on this report so you can kind of see these are the biggest talking points. So if you're speaking with your community, if you're speaking with your mayor, if you're speaking with your city council or your, the councilman or the mayor, sorry, these are some great talking points that you can say to them of what this industry has been able to accomplish in really a short amount of time. So we'll get into some more specifics, but I want to go ahead and start talking to the panel and asking them some questions about things that they've done. But I want to start with Cherokee. What economic successes has your office seen since launching your incentive program?
Osio Nagad, Nokusi Dagodo, Jijalagi. Hello, everyone. I'm Jen Lauren. Hello? Okay. Okay. Thank you for the question. Thank you all so much for having me. And so the question was, what kind of growth have we seen with the
Since
launch
launching
of
the incentive, yeah.
Yeah. So in the 3 years that we have had a film rebate program, we have $1 million annually with no sunset date in the Cherokee Nation, which again is usable on its own or stackable with the state's film rebate. In those 3 years, we have received dozens. Didn't touch it. Okay. We've had dozens of applications. We have had roughly 10 film projects that have gone all the way through from application to pre-qualification to production and then receiving their check. And so in the 3 years, we've had about 10 productions, which is great for us with a $1 million rebate. You know, our largest production that used our rebate was a $50 million film. And so we've seen a lot of economic activity in the Cherokee Nation that we would not have seen otherwise. And we really do believe about half of those projects used our rebate by itself, and the other half used both the state and the Cherokee rebate. And so we can't wait to see what happens when Tulsa adds a rebate we can put in there. So, I mean, I can't say enough. Like, I think there's one kind of like one indicator that I think speaks volumes about what this is doing in the Cherokee Nation, and that is our small towns in Cherokee Nation that see this film activity. So, for example, Bartlesville has hosted several films, and then the city of Claremore has hosted several. Owasso, where our studios are based, they've also seen a lot of film activity, and there's several others. But suddenly you see like they have these films that show up and essentially do all their business in these towns, and the next thing you know, they're applying with the state to become film-friendly communities, and so we're seeing more and more of those Muskogee, you know, that have become film-friendly communities because they've actually witnessed, they've seen the benefits of having all of these films projects in their backyard. And so I think it's great for the Cherokee Nation, for our small towns, and also, of course, part of our mission is always Native American representation. And getting jobs to the citizens of our tribal nations, and so we see a lot of that. We have all of that data. We collect all of that data, and so we've seen hundreds and hundreds of jobs for Native Americans through these films, and so it's been really successful, and we want to continue to see that build.
I couldn't agree more. We can honestly say that we've seen over the last 2 years a lot more activity in that part of the state, and we really truly believe that it is because of that incentive and being able to stack and growing that crew base. And you're right. I mean, we have 38 film-friendly communities. You know, and I see Bethany here. Bethany. And so it is truly amazing to see what's happening in the state right now, because not only do we have 38 film-friendly communities, we have 5 communities that are offering their own incentive, and another one that's about to be announced. So communities see the benefit of what can happen when a production comes to their town. They see them staying in hotels. They see them eating their food, you know, going to the grocery store, eating in their restaurants, hiring their local vendors, because it's cheaper for them. They need to do that. They want to do that. They want to be there. So that is another message to take back to anyone that's asking, you know, why is this important? Well, it can change cities. It can truly change the landscape of cities, because cities need sales tax revenue. And that's really what we're trying to encourage. We're trying to generate those funds, throw them into the community, and why not do it through film? Everybody, is that
sorry, everybody, about the screen. I know they're working on it, so apologies.
Lieutenant Governor, why do you think it's important that Oklahoma continue to invest?
So, $95 million would be my first answer. So, the streamers alone in 2025 will spend $95 million creating. When you think about it, and again, that's just the streamers. That's not your traditional studios. It's hundreds of billions of dollars when you add, again, the whole ecosystem together of just content, just people creating, again, telling stories. Those stories have to be told somewhere on planet Earth, maybe in the future, not just planet Earth, but not going to go down that tangent. But think about that. And so when I have conversations with legislators, it's show business. We focus way too much on the show part, not enough on the business part of this side of this angle. This is going to be filmed somewhere. Thousands of jobs that Jen is talking about. That is not just in front of and behind that camera. You're talking about, again, the sales tax that is created. And again, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but again, this is some of the language that I use when I'm talking to literally save thousands of jobs and thousands of companies. And by the way, yes, we are collecting those stories so that we can continue to have an archive of of those stories that we're able to tell. So that's one reason that these are permanent jobs. And if it's not filmed here, it's going to go somewhere else. And by the way, that doesn't mean 49 other states now. A lot of the future story, I would say, over the next decade or two, when it comes to this industry, is how much of this is going to be filmed overseas in countries that don't like us. I mean, let's just throw it out there, because for future generations. I want those stories to be filmed in Oklahoma. And I would also reiterate one other reason that I'm so big on this industry. Not only is it a good deal for taxpayers, but it plays to the strengths of our state. We have 39 sovereigns in the state of Oklahoma. The Cherokee Nation, yes, is leading the way when it comes to this space, that storytelling space. But when you go anywhere and you talk to a studio head and you talk to them about what is going on in Oklahoma, yeah, they care about the rebate, but when you talk to them about what the Cherokee Nation is doing, what the Chickasaw Nation, what the Choctaw Nation, and again, I could go down the line, they stop in their tracks. When they hear that you have sovereign nations inside a state that are offering a rebate or tax credit that can be layered upon what the state has, it stops them in there. There's something very, very sticky to that. And that we have to lean in. Arizona doesn't have this. New Mexico does. They have sovereigns, but they don't have nearly what we got in Oklahoma. California, not even close. New York, don't even get me started. They don't have what we got. But if we don't play to that strength, then we're losing. And it is a differentiator for us, the fact that we got these 39 sovereigns. Not all of them are involved in this film and television space. But it is remarkable that, how much that separates us from every other state. And it is something that is going to continue to build the state of Oklahoma if we play to that strength. If we don't, we're losing.
Thank you very much.
So come film in the Cherokee Nation.
Yeah.
Representative Hill, let's talk about workforce a little bit. And I know that you were really passionate about the apprentice piece in the Filmed in Oklahoma Act. Can you tell the audience, obviously, why workforce is so important and why you were insistent on this being in the Filmed in Oklahoma Act?
Sure. Try that again. Thank you, Governor. It's good when you got the governor watching out for you, right? Y'all should all feel that, because since he came into office, that guy's been watching out for you. I think that's so I'm a little bit different in most of the conversations, because I come at it from jobs. I've been very clear since the very first day that I touched any of the incentive when we started working to move from the Compete with Canada Act, right, which was a tourism piece, in my opinion, to a rebate, right? So from an incentive to what I would call a rebate, which is the Filmed in Oklahoma Act, which was different, as I see it, than the aerospace industry or the ag industry or our number one industry, oil and gas. You literally came out of the shadows as a cool kind of thing into being an actual industry, job creating. That's a difference. And you're making a difference in our economy because of it. And so when we're talking about the apprenticeships, I think that's an extremely important piece. And I know that can be a touchy piece sometimes, right? Like that we require a base of 2 interns on apprentices on a set. The reason we did that was because we wanted to make sure that the next generation of you, the creators, the job creators, were being produced right behind you. Creation, the stronger our economy becomes. And so that's kind of been my whole piece of it the whole time, is how do we make sure that the next generation is being developed today, that they don't have to go out of state to get work on a project, but that they can stay at home and be on the highest level movie, the highest level TV production, the highest level online production that there is from here in Oklahoma. And I'd just like to celebrate you one more time that in this past year, there was a moment when I'm walking up to the theater for the movie Reagan. And as I'm walking into the theater, there is Reagan right on the marquee right next to Twisters. And it sent a signal to the world that the two largest productions in the nation at that moment were here. They were filmed here. They were filmed and produced and directed and worked on by you. And I think that's the signal we're looking for. And the more we work on that, the stronger our economy becomes and the more we can do. And we can talk about, will it be 30 million or 40 million or 50 million? You know what will drive that? The economy. We're just really honest. Because every time we see something that is a worthwhile investment, we continue to invest in it when we have the resource to invest. I believe that film continues to pound punch for punch in that category. And so it's why I'm still proud to work on it this year as far as the mechanisms to make sure that every dollar is being used to its highest potential. And I think we've got some exciting opportunities ahead working together to get us there. So.
Absolutely. Thank you. And to the workforce piece, I do want to point out the employment and compensation, which is listed on this sheet, which says that we are among the top 10 of all three measures. And so that's the top 10 of all the states offering incentives. And that's going to be top 10 in total compensations paid, average compensations, and employment. So this, Mark Sneed, who did this report, looked at every single other state that was offering incentives, looked at their population, looked at their numbers, and determined that Oklahoma was in the top among the incentives for employment and compensation. And that is actually really huge. That is huge. And it's a great talking point to take of why we need to remain where we are, why we need to keep going, and why we need to keep growing, right? Right, slow and steady wins the race. We just need to keep going. So Jill, I'm going to throw you a doozy. You can handle it. I said I'm going to throw you a doozy, but I know you can handle it. How does Oklahoma remain competitive?
My overarching comment right now is unity. We have got to work together to move the needle. And I would say that I go back in this, I'm going to be a little bit all over the place, but I go back to this space to 2004 when we had less than $1 million. It was always a rebate. It was always about trying to create the jobs, but you got to beg projects to come in and film when you're that small. So what Jeanette's saying, slow and steady wins the race, I firmly believe in. It's not that we have to be Georgia or New York or California, because based on the economic impact study, we came out stronger than they did. We're just trying to grow an industry here that keeps you working, where we have a 12-month calendar of production. And it's not the time to dilute our single pot of money. We've got to keep it in one pot. We've got to bring everybody under that umbrella and work together to keep growing it. I do want to share an anecdotal story about Oklahoma City and Twisters. We came on the market January of 23, right when Universal was talking to Jeanette. They were looking heavily at Georgia. The studio was very interested in filming in Georgia because of incentives. We had the bonus of having a filmmaker who really wanted to be here. I look at Oklahoma City's incentive that's stackable with the state as a closer. Would I bring in a film of that size with my program? No, but when I can stack it with what Jeanette's offering and come up with a package that pushed us over the top. I will tell you that our program, we have a total of $3 million through the end of this year. I have pre-qualified about half of that. We have a cap of $1 million per project. Universal just turned in their final application. They spent 30% more than I even thought they were going to spend here. That's people buying metal to be blown away at the motel scene. That's people buying lumber, food, going to restaurants, staying in our hotels. For that film, my $1 million from Oklahoma City got a return of $42.6 million in direct dollars. That I don't want to quote a number because I don't have that final number, but it's another 30% beyond that. Tell me how that's bad business for Oklahoma. How is that a bad incentive or something that we should not be doing? And I am so bullish on this industry. I'm so bullish on every single one of you in this room. I've been around a long time. Don't ever think that what's happening is not because of your hard work or that your vision is any less important than anybody else's. We're all here to work together, and I'm here to support you. And my only concern is our state budget this year, so we have to be cognizant of that. But these programs are good, they're sound, they're growing jobs, they're diversifying the economy, and they're creating a space where people like me and a lot of you in this room don't have to live in another state. So,
Good job.
Meg. Tulsa FMAC has been awesome, an amazing partner with our office. We have collaborated on several projects, especially on the music side, which is we're doing a lot on the music side. We won't get into it, but we're doing a lot on the music side. But I know Tulsa is really able to dive into soft incentives for productions, and I hear about them, and I'm like, wow, go Tulsa. And so what can you offer? What do you do? What are some of the services you can offer for productions that people may not even know that Tulsa is doing actively?
Yeah, well, I know that we're talking about the incentives specifically, so I will bring up something that we have done in the past as far as an incentive in Tulsa. We had ARPA funds that we put to put $1 million towards the film industry. So, that was very well received. Those are recovering dollars from COVID. So we were able to take those dollars and invest them into film. One case was Fancy Dance. They were having some problems, and with the money from us and from Cherokee, they were able to finish their project. So that was a success story. So we worked really closely with Cherokee. As far as soft incentives that we've done in the past, we have the Convention and Visitors Bureau under our umbrella as well, under regional tourism. And so we are able to reach out to them and with their help and get reduced hotel rates. So if you're coming into our city and you're bringing in hotel or need hotel rooms, contact our office. We have these relationships with the hotels that we're really able to help you get your hotel rates down. There's several of them that really, really get film and they love it. So we want to be able to help you on those. We also are identifying some production office space. Whether I'm talking to the city, I'm talking to businesses in Tulsa to create a turnkey office space so people are easily coming in and not having to take the time out to have to scout for a production office space, has to rent the equipment and the furniture and all that stuff. So we're getting that put together. And again, we are working on a local incentive as well. We're raising the dollars through our office, so it's taking us a little bit longer than anticipated, but we are just really excited about it and looking every day. I have a different conversation with business owners and people in the community to see how they can help the film industry. and they really love to be a part of it. So we'll continue to identify more ways that we can help. But, it's like also reach out to us if you're looking for a location, any of us. If you're looking for a location, we go out and search for those to make sure that they're available when people come in. And then we also help with connecting you to crew. So, and I encourage everybody out here, because you're here, because you're in the industry, to make sure that we know who you are. I talk to people all the time and getting to know them, and plus, I was one of those Texans that moved here 2 years ago. So I still don't know everybody, and I want to know who you are so that I can help promote you in these jobs, and it helps us sell Oklahoma as well. So make sure you update your listings too. I'm going to make sure that, all of us have that challenge, so update your listings on all of our directories too. And we're working to where they're all going to talk together soon, so you'll only have to go one place. But right now, please update in each one that you're listed in. And then, just let us know how we can help you, because you're helping us with telling the story about Oklahoma film, too.
If I could just add to what we're all talking about, I don't think there's anybody here on this panel that doesn't see you, our Oklahoma filmmakers. And when we're talking about Twisters or Reagan or some of these big films, we fully recognize there's this whole big ecosystem, absolutely. Of the Oklahoma City film rebate projects, I've only had one huge film. The rest are, I've got 6 or 7 applicants that I can look around the crowd and see who you are. You matter. Your projects matter to us, and you are important to the future here. So don't ever think we are not seeing you and wanting to lift you up, wanting to keep you here and have you telling your stories. And like Meg said, we're here. I know a lot of you here, but some of you I don't. So if there's ways that we can support you, I think we're all on the same page that we're about that.
Jen, tell us about Amazon.
Yeah, there's a company called Amazon. I don't know if any of you have heard about it. So we have partnered with them recently. We launched the Cherokee Film Institute, which is a workforce development branch of the Cherokee film ecosystem. Let me introduce a couple of people from our staff. So Bretland Bevenu is the program manager for Cherokee Film Institute, and then Maggie Cunningham is the film commissioner for Cherokee Film Commission. So Amazon, they filmed in the Cherokee Nation, by the way, and when we were all in Los Angeles recently for our film commissioners meeting, I got to go have a meeting with a whole room full of production executives from Amazon and kind of pitch the Cherokee Nation in Oklahoma as a place that they should come film. And they said, we just finished filming there. We're definitely coming back. We loved it. It was wonderful. Even though they filmed in 100-degree heat in the summer, they still said that they really wanted to come back. And they had a really great experience in Oklahoma. And so that was one way that we've been working with Amazon. But they also came along for Cherokee Film Institute. And they really want to help increase Native American representation in film and media as well. And so they were able to come on and be our corporate sponsor for the Institute. And they essentially paid the tuition of our first 25 Native American students to go through the Institute. And they want to do more. And we have another program that we're working on with them right now that hasn't been announced yet, but we're working really hard on that. And their economic development team for Amazon Global, not just Amazon MGM, but Amazon Global, the corporation, is really interested in Oklahoma and wants to have a footprint here and is really interested in working with Cherokee Nation, which they have done, and they really want to continue that. So, we hope to bring them back with more films, but we're also looking at ways that, we can continue that partnership and really help move the needle for Cherokee Nation, but also for Oklahoma, and like when we brought those economic development folks from Amazon here to town to meet with them, we had Jeanette and we had, Tulsa FMAC hosted a dinner for us. And so it's really, sharing the love and showing that this community is strong and we're interwoven and we're all supporting each other and lifting one another up. But Ideally, we will continue exploring more partnerships with additional organizations beyond Amazon to bring more focus into the Cherokee Nation, and we want to continue doing those same things. But the idea is that it adds and builds to this industry that we're continuing at Cherokee Nation. We're investing, and we're investing in infrastructure and workforce and all the things you need to really have a strong industry here. But the more we can bring in partners to help us with that, I think the better we all will be. And I think, one of the things that you said, somebody said, was like, we want to get into this. We want to have films that are here, you finish one film and you go on to the next one. Maybe it's a big film, maybe it's a small film, but that is what we absolutely need and want in Cherokee Nation. And so that's what we're really working toward and partnering with everybody here so that we have those jobs that are continuous for all of you. So there's really no break, right? You go from one job to the next. And I think all of those kinds of partnerships can help with that.
Absolutely, that's the goal at the end of the day. Lieutenant Governor, what is maybe your recommendation of the best possible way for the industry to support itself during legislative session?
Well, power in numbers. Again, I can speak for Brian too. I mean, this right here, maybe we should just take a selfie. This works. When a legislator will tell you if they get, 10, 15, 20 phone calls in their office on a specific issue, it's a decent amount. And okay, maybe there's something to this. Maybe call a few of these people back to see what's going on here. They're drinking water out of a fire hose, folks, between February and May. And every single person coming to Brian Hill's office is going to be asking for more money. Okay? They're not saying, hey, good news, you can cut my budget this year. Like, that doesn't happen. And so just know what he and others are dealing with, that we can't be all things to all people. It's why we have to be strategic, and we have to look what is working in Oklahoma. What should we double down on because of that? And again, this is one of those industries, and it's perfect timing. It's, again, why we're all here today to release this new economic impact study. So I would tell you, if you don't know who your state rep or your state senator is, then, okay, don't raise your hand, please, and tell us. Go figure out, first off, where you live and identify who that state rep and state senator is. Doesn't matter who it is, whether they're in a position of leadership in the House or Senate or not. Go meet them. Go to their office. If they're not taking a meeting with you, Brian and I want to know about it, because we can fix that, okay? So that's step one. We have Film Day at the Capitol, strategic. April 1st. That's strategic, so that's kind of before, we start putting the budget together. That's a really big opportunity. I would tell you, everybody needs to be at the Capitol on April 1st. Again, power in numbers is really going to matter there too. And then, this is their love language. This is the love language of the legislature. I mean, Brian just said, jobs, jobs, jobs. That opens the door for him if you come to him with that. Again, that is certainly something that speaks to me too, but it's even bigger than that. So that's part of the strategy that I think. Anytime that we can see articles, again, the fact that we're on the above the fold in Variety with Amazon coming to town with the Cherokee Nation, that's a big flex. Big projects, small projects. You all know, again, those big projects do get a little bit of the buzz. When Matt Damon or somebody's walking around downtown Oklahoma City, I know that most of the projects that, again, really keep our economy going are smaller projects. But those big projects, we need them every once in a while. Because they certainly perk the interest of maybe some legislators. Most of them are getting elected not because of film and music industry. But it doesn't mean, again, they're not going to support it if we can prove the value of it. And so it's prime time for us between February and May, and we'll give you a few of those action items.
Absolutely. Staying relevant is critical. I think every year, staying relative and showing our growth is critical. And, in addition to talking to your legislator, talk to your city manager, talk to your mayor. They have relationships with those legislators. I've heard countless stories up at the Capitol where, an economic development for the city or a city manager sent an email to that legislator and it may have changed their mind. So that is critical as well.
We live or die on sales tax as a state. We're too reliant upon sales tax as a state, in my opinion. This industry helps pay for police and fire departments in communities all across the state, because any city manager or mayor will tell you that's all they think about all month long is, am I going to create enough sales tax in Guthrie, Oklahoma this month to pay for police and fire and everything else that a city manager and mayor has to pay for. This industry, when you get something near you, this industry helps considerably when it comes to that sales tax conversation. So Jeanette is absolutely right.
And I think we have some vendors in the room that can attest to how much they've been able to make. I mean, make their living off of their industry and what they're doing, and that they need to share those stories as well. The businesses that are here. Representative Hill, so the climate up at the Capitol on 23rd and Lincoln is, it's pretty stressful right now. We're just getting started. There's some new House rules on getting bills passed. I'm not crazy about because it's moving really fast, but can you kind of give us your kind of maybe talking points on, the climate up there? Obviously, the governor's wanting a flat budget or some tax cuts, which everything makes the world go around, but can you tell us what's your recommendation on how we can help with that narrative in a positive way?
Sure. So as I was looking around the room, right, I know several faces sitting around here. I've done tours. I've taken legislators on tours of different places. And as we're talking ecosystem, right, it becomes really easy to talk about, your point, Reagan or Twisters, right? Pillars of the Flower Moon. And it's because it's large. It's easy for me to take legislators to Prairie Surf, to One Set, to Filmmakers Ranch, called the Jane somewhere, to Boiling Point, right? Like I took a tour over there. Some of you, and of course, as I mentioned, we were talking a little earlier, headed up to Owasso for a tour with Cherokee Film in a couple of weeks. Some of you don't have, unless we talk about it, or all had a meeting. Can y'all hear me all right? Okay, I feel like the mic keeps like fluctuating here. I'm like trying to, hey James. I'm trying to elevate my voice back and forth. Oh, you want me to use this one? I'd be